What's up, everybody? Big Hurt 916, getting down with Fresh Out. You know how we do it over here. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share the channel. I got a special one today, man. A very intellectual, spiritual individual, and they're going to share something not about prison, but about consciousness, subconscious, just thought process, things that I talk about all the time. And I just did a video on meditation on my channel, you guys. So you know how meditation can change your life and just controlling your thoughts. And I'm gonna let this individual introduce himself because it's such a special guest on our show today.
Well, it's good to be with you, brother. And I'm probably reaching many people I've never reached before. And if I'm new to you, I'm Michael, and I host a YouTube channel and a community, Our Everyday Lives. And I built this community several years ago, a place for all individuals, regardless of your background, regardless of anything that, the Matrix tells you, oh, you need to be a certain way. A lot of people are going through a spiritual awakening at this time, and they're really uncovering who they truthfully are. And, years ago, many people, they were programmed by the Matrix to wear a mask. And at this time, Marcus, I know you're seeing it. A lot of people are taking off their masks right now and revealing to the world who they truthfully are. And that's really where we are at this point. I know you're seeing it. And I'll share a little bit about my background, how I went through my spiritual awakening. And I share this with many people. There's probably something inside of you since you were a child. You knew something was off in the world. You felt like maybe you came here for something more. You're kind of sitting in school, and then all of a sudden, you're saying something's not right. You're seeing the way the Matrix was run, and as you were growing up, you thought something was wrong. And I felt that as a child. It really picked up in my early 20s. I used to do bodybuilding competitions. And at that time, when you train for a bodybuilding competition, you have to eat really clean. And for three months of my life, I ate so clean. And, the end result of that wasn't just, winning a bodybuilding show, but it really cleaned out my mind. And I started looking at the world in a different light. Over time, I actually started to develop chronic fatigue. If anyone is experiencing that, that's listening to this message, it's actually known as an ascension symptom. You might be, tired all the time. And, at the time I went to the doctor, say, oh, why am I so tired? And the doctor say, oh, you're totally healthy. And it just called me into how can I improve my life? And I found myself actually listening to YouTube at night. And one day, Nikola Tesla, The Secrets of Vibration and Frequency, came up on my phone. And, I'm a person that, I'm not really for the reality TV, dumbing down the masses. And I like to sit down and just listen and educate myself. I always had the standard, every day, just learn one new thing every single day. And you just keep going with that. And all of a sudden, day after day, all of a sudden, you've developed a new life. So I started consuming this, and I learned about 528 hertz frequency, known as the miracle tone. And I saw the documentary. I learned about Tesla, and then I saw that you could actually sleep with this frequency at night, and all of a sudden my fatigue went away, and it really left a mark on me. Because every person, I'm a rational person. We have to have firsthand experience. So it wasn't just, I learned something and I just put it in the drawer and I forgot about it. I actually applied it to my everyday life. And then from that point going forward, I started learning new things, and I started applying all these things, even a new diet, things I talk about on my YouTube channel. We're all maybe called to change our diets. I used to eat a certain way, and now I change the way I eat. Versus the bodybuilder diet that I had years ago. And we're constantly changing. And we were given programs. So 95% of the day we run off subconscious programs. And that becomes our reality. and eventually we have to rewrite these subconscious programs because we don't know where we got the information from. People tell you, oh, you have to do this, you have to live a certain way. And I think a lot of people are going through the spiritual awakening right now, especially young people. They might get caught up in the wrong thing because they were passed down these subconscious programs. And most people take in these subconscious programs since birth to the age of 7 or 8. That's why it's important to really stay focused on the children. And they will carry these subconscious programs, trauma, right? The things that they see, the things they see on the TV, the things they hear in the music. Not only are the words, like mind control, but the mainstream music is tuned to a 440 hertz frequency. And the frequency is dissonant to the actual physical body. And we should be listening to music tuned to 432 hertz frequency. It's known as God's frequency. I feel, the way that the Matrix, the way the fake inorganic world has become, it takes people away from God, disconnects them from God. And I'm here to tell all of you, when you really have a personal relationship with God, you strengthen yourself, you become stronger physically, mentally, and spiritually. And that's what I've done on my journey. And that's the community. That's what we talk about daily on my channel. And how can we become self-empowered? A lot of people, they have the programming of being a victim and bowing down to, other people that maybe know better than them. Every person that's listening to this message tonight, you know best. You know best inside. And that's really where we have to take society and start, changing the mindset. And if you change the mindset, you'll change the reality you experience.
That's some deep conversation, man. And when you were talking about the music and the vibration, I remember Kanye talking about the beat and how the beat is tuned to a certain frequency, and how some of these record labels would take the music into a certain room and they would adjust it to have a certain frequency to it so that it would create certain results. And I've seen it in the music industry, just how it's shifted, because through my journey of going through juvenile hall and CYA into the pen, I think about like the music and how it's changed. And then when I got to the penitentiary and I had my really first awakening, and I'm talking to guys and we're talking about, because you're in a closed environment. So we're talking about God, we're talking about the Bible, we're talking about the Quran, we're talking about spirituality. I'm learning about laws. I'm sitting there, man, and literally I felt like I've been duped. The material society had tricked me into committing a crime or getting caught up. I mean, the initial crime was not what got me there, but the mentality that led up to that, because I was caught up in that whirlwind of subconscious programming and didn't even realize what I was doing until it was too late. It's like after the act was done, it was too late. I was already in prison. And that awakening, man, that I had in there, and then every day to live with that, it was it was a challenge, man. And I don't wish that on anybody, and I try to share it on Fresh Out and on Big Herc, like, the power of, disconnecting from this matrix so that you can find your true self, because most people have not had a real thought for themselves. It's always been a teacher, parent, the church, something something they heard from a friend, but they never really thought about why they have those thoughts. They haven't really created an original thought based on how they feel or their beliefs. And that's the game changer, man.
Yeah, I feel that what I gather from my personal journey and people on my channel, you could sit there and say, you know what, I wish I knew this stuff when I was younger. And you make decisions. We want to make informed decisions. And we make decisions over the course of our journey with the information available at the time. And that's what, the role that you're playing right now is important. We're all doing this together. I speak about the event. A lot of people, they still don't get it. They say, well, but where's the event? The event is the expansion of human consciousness. So anyone that's listening to this right now, I want you to reflect on your life. Think about where you were in 2020 and think about where you are now. Think about where you were in 2015, where you are now. Think about where you're 2012, depending on how old you were, 2001, and think about where you are now. The consciousness of the collective is expanding, and we know so much more. I could look at my younger self. If I talked to my younger self, I would say certain things. I would say, "Oh, this guy's crazy," right? Talking to myself, because my programming that was passed down to me, it wasn't, the programs weren't designed for my highest good. They weren't designed for your highest good. They were trying to get us all to, be a human battery, just like The Matrix, which is also a documentary.
Yeah. And when you talk about reprogramming, I was just listening to Billy Carson's, and he talks a lot about that, very deep on a lot of the he talks a lot about the aliens, the tablets, and a lot of astronomy, and a lot of what people do is being passed down through their RNA. So there maybe have had past trauma from maybe your ancestors, and in order to get rid of that and not let that affect your ability to perform at your highest level, you got to literally reprogram yourself. And that's one of the things I did, is like broke myself down all the way to what I consider, I always use car analogies, with a chassis with nothing on it. So all I had was a chassis. And then from that chassis, I started adding on all my accessories that I wanted for my car to be the best car possible, the best vessel. And, a lot of people don't want to do that because it's painful, these different things you've been taught. And those things were given to you at the time that you were in that state of mind, but you might not have known that that wasn't something you were limited to. So, to work on that and to really go through that and pull yourself out. And once you go forward, you can't really go back, because now you're awakened, and you can't, it's like the guy in the Matrix. Remember, he said, "Oh man, I'm tired of eating this oatmeal. I want to go back. I want to be somebody important. I want to have money. I want to," he just sold out Neo because he wanted to go back into the Matrix. And it's work, man. I mean, it's responsibility. And, at times I'm like, I wish, like, I don't wish, I mean, I used to be like in the penitentiary, like, man, why do I see all these different things and everybody else is just watching TV and playing cards and dominoes? I don't get it, but I realized that my mind, I was on a different path, man. And it's hard sometimes to try to explain this. So, you got to kind of blend it in with other things and kind of baby feed it to people.
Yeah, it's actually too much to break down, say all the programming all at once. There was a woman, her name was Dolores Cannon. I don't know if you ever heard of her. And she spoke about this time period and what we're going through right now. She said the physical body could not handle learning the truth all at once. We have to go in stages. And I've actually experienced that. So, years ago when I was, had my, working in the school schedule, and I'd have a week off, I would like go down a rabbit hole and I would consume all this information. I found myself like just like passed out on the couch, just like with like no energy. So a lot of people don't realize, and I'm sharing this, and you know how it is about working out. You could work out and lift all these weights, but then when you're changing your mind, that's actually more tiresome. The energy that for the creative mind, it is very taxing. And you spoke about healing our ancestry. So what the work that you're doing, the work that I'm doing, we're actually healing our whole lineage. And the most important aspect of all this is really the DNA. And, when you really go through a spiritual awakening and you focus on the truth about DNA, and I shared this, and, anyone that's listening to me for the first time, 93% of the function of DNA is light and sound reception and transmission. So you never had junk DNA. You got all the books, right? They told you, "Oh, Herc, you got junk DNA." So you're in your mind, you're like, "Oh man, if I was only able, right? They tell you nonsense. Oh, you can only use 7% of your brain. Oh, you're 93% junk DNA. The DNA that's responsible for our traits, our hair color, skin, so on. It's just a fraction. And the information that is in the what they call junk, but your DNA is a energy amplifier. It's a Tesla coil. If you know what a Tesla coil is, right? It's coiled. So we're taking in light. A lot of people aren't out in nature. So if you see a lot of people that are on a spiritual awakening journey, or they change their life, they're spending more time outside in the sun, grounding negative ions of the planet go through the body. So I know some people might be listening to this and hear the word negative. You actually need negative ions. It's good for your health. But your DNA is so important for this. And that's why you have a calling. So like, and you could share also, like, on your journey, you notice like certain things, they're like, oh, it's so easy for you. It's like second nature. And then some things you really struggle with, because we have all of our past lives, all of our abilities there. And some things are super easy, and some things we came into this life to learn, so we could add to all the things we know how to do.
You know, I did a I did an experience on a vibration bed with deep meditation and the frequency and man, that experience, it was like, I felt like Doctor Strange, man. I was like traveling back in time. I seen deserts, I seen like different, it seemed like planets, and like I felt like I had existed here before, and I don't know if it was it was in a different form, and maybe I don't know if I was like a warrior or some type of king or something, but I seen all these things, and when I got through with that experience, it was before I was driving home from San Diego to LA, and it was literally like I was high off of that experience, like the energy I had, I didn't even need an energy drink. I was high for the next 6 hours. And I was like, wow, man, that was amazing. Without any, and I don't do any drugs, but I like to get when I go to the gym, I get that feeling. It's almost like a high. And I was like, wow. But when you are able to tap into that, and like you said, unleash these different, I call it like chambers in your conscious, and you can unlock those chambers. It's like, dude, it's so amazing, and what you get from that, it's an awakening. But like each time you feel this awakening, it's as though something else has unveiled itself, and like literally, man, I see stuff, and so a lot of things I just keep to myself, because it's like I'm learning so much about myself. You ever look at yourself in the mirror and you go, damn, is that me? Or because you see one thing. But imagine how other people see you. Imagine if you're King Kong. You're just King Kong. You're kicking over buildings. You're silverback. You got all this power, but you don't even realize the power you have, because you just are living. You're just living in yourself, so you don't understand what your potential is. It's almost like the whole time you were doing things a hard way, but if you just focus, you might have laser beams pointing at your eyes, and you could melt this wall down. So it's like, as you unlock these chambers, new superpowers unveil themselves. And, we're looking for all these things like the chip from Elon. We're looking for this. We're looking for that. Give me this, give me that. I'll put it in my head. Okay, you can do a lot of these things now if you channel yourself and you really quiet yourself. Like, you go to bed at night, meditate. Like I meditate sometimes at night now, just block everything out and meditate on what I want to manifest, and pull it from the third dimension to materialize it in the world I'm living in now. And a lot of people, because they're looking for all these outside things, whether you're poisoned through alcohol or using drugs or these outside things, if you realize that you can tap into that just through your natural abilities. We were all given this ability, but they take that, we've been stripped of it. And like they said, a lot of the Gnostic schools and the spiritual teaching schools that Jesus went to, and a lot of the these private schools, now they call them Illuminati, and they make it sound evil, but Illuminati means enlightened one. It wasn't evil. It was just people have secret knowledge of unlocking this consciousness, and it wasn't meant for the masses. They didn't share it with the masses, but that's a lot of what I tap into, and what kind of brought me to where I am today in my spiritual journey. And that's a lot of what saved me in prison, because I used a lot of that to turn myself invisible, literally become a Jedi in prison. So whenever I felt dark forces, I would use this as a tool rather than have to result in violence, because I knew that more violence inside a violent environment wouldn't do me any good as far as getting out to start my life over.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of important topics, and I do feel a lot of people are tricked to look outside of themselves, and all the answers really are inside of us, but they they put a lot of self-doubt. Remember, the enemy can't stop you. The enemy gets you to stop yourself, and it's with self-doubt, right? So a lot of people don't realize there are universal laws, and there's a universal law of free will. There's nothing coming to get you, or anything, but what they will do is put self-doubt in your mind, and then throw you off your path, and you'll stop yourself. That's why you have to just keep going. You shared about certain, it could be technology or people. It's always what's behind. Like we see technology. We're creating a world famous video right now, but we're using the technology for good. So technology is not good or bad, or anything is not just good or bad. It's actually the intent. I did a full video on my channel. It's the power of intent. What is the intent behind it? You actually when you talked about past lives, we're starting to remember, and I've seen this. I mean, I could see it tonight. I'm talking to someone that's someone I probably knew in a past life, and somehow we're divinely we're here tonight making this message. But a lot of us we think that that was the program that we were given. You live this life, and that's it, and that's really not the case. And I'm sure anyone listening to this, there's definitely someone in your life, some people, and you say, I feel like I know this person, and it's so comfortable. You just meet them and it's so comfortable. And there could also be people that you're like, oh, I don't like that. I don't feel comfortable with this person. Dr. Bruce Lipton, he speaks about vibration, the biology of belief, and how we all pick up on this. All animals are able to pick up on vibration and frequency. So like he says, the gazelle doesn't have to go over to the lion. Are you going to eat me? Like, it just knows, and it goes. We've lost that sense, because we were programmed to listen to the words. Going forward, everyone that's listening to this, you're going to have to go with your heart. You're going to have to feel. And there's science behind this too. So your heart actually emits an electromagnetic field 5,000 times greater than your brain. So if you're sitting here and say, oh, I'm thinking, a lot of people overthink. I have overthought certain things on my journey, but you're really going to have to go with the heart, and just make these decisions with the heart. Feel your way through, and in the end, you'll find your path. But I think that more people are becoming empathic, which is important, and put yourself in other people's shoes. I actually I host a Patreon community. We get together on Zoom, and I have the 8 dimensions of wellness community. So when we think of it, right, like people will see you, they'll see me, and from their lens, they'll say, oh, their lives are perfect. They have everything. But we have to realize there's 8 dimensions to our life. And some people might be struggling with their health or finances, their mental, right? There's all different aspects. So, now we're starting to become more empathic. Now we're starting to see, okay, how do these people view me? Oh, I can understand why this person, did this. And now we're starting to understand, why, people make these mistakes, because they were given the wrong information back when they were kids. And the influence of mainstream media. That's where the word comes from. the goddess Medea, which is deception. They trick you, and they're casting a spell. That's why they broadcast on the TV.
Yeah, well, you're the broadcasting thing. They don't even hide it no more. If you look at all these concerts, Travis Scott, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, you see the background. Look at, you pay attention to stuff now because you're looking like, wow, it's right there in your face. They don't even hide it. I mean,
Yeah.
the symbolism, the the rhythm, once you study all that stuff, when you look at, what they used to do to cast spells and to, encapsulate people into conscious bubbles, all this stuff is being like widely used. And you're right. Right now, the war is with the younger people to get the younger and younger, because people like now we've seen it, we understand it, but the younger you can get, if you can get them and separate them from their parents, separate them because they're already separated from God because they took that out of the school. So they replaced that with, drag story time. They got rid of any type of national allegiance, like, where you felt like you were part of a group. We all pledge allegiance. You got your little Filipino friend, you got your little Asian friend, you all pledge allegiance. They got rid of that. I mean, I grew up on a military base, and I remember when the Fleet Week came through with the big ships, and you seen the destroyer aircraft carriers, and somebody's dad was on there. You had a sense like, wow, man, this is great. You felt good about, your country. You felt good about your being. And now most people are like, oh man, I hate America. Well, down with America. It's like, what's going on, man? These people have no sense of country, value, loyal, and it's like, well, what do you want? You don't even know what you want. You're just going off of what your emotion is telling you. And yeah, it's just it's a big game right now. It's been a really big push ever since COVID, man. They came hard with this push, man. This push is since 2019, and ironically, it started, I would say, right before Kobe, but it's weird because when Kobe died, it was almost like Superman died. When he died, because he affected so many people around the world. And then right after that, you notice like everybody just went into like a dark gloom, man. But it was like almost like, oh, who's going to help us? Even though he's just a sports athlete, but he was so much more symbolically in how they had built him up and what he was fighting for with the pharmaceutical companies and stuff. But I know it sounds kind of like a rabbit hole there, but I remember that night before he died, because I was driving down the area where he crashed, and I'm just like, man, it's a weird vibe, man. And I went to my favorite restaurant in Malibu with my wife, and the energy was weird, and they were starting to push this, COVID shit. And I'm like, damn, man, this is like something I read in a book in prison. This is like crazy, man. They're bringing the same concept of how they locked down a prison. They brought it to the street. Limit the food, stay in the house, no fitness, no yard time, so you can't get no sun. You're isolated, so you can't see your friends. It's like you feel lonely, and it just takes you down a deep depression. You fall into all these bad habits. And I'm like, I just seen it, and I told my wife, I said, man, we're not going to go for this. And we're not going to let these people drag us down. I'm not walking around with no damn mask on. I'm going to work out in my garage. We're going to go for walks, and we're going to keep our mind strong, because once they get your mind, once they break your mind, your mental ability to cope with reality and what you perceive as reality, you're done. They pretty much, whatever fear mongering that they've already put in place, you're just going to run with it. And you're not going to even know what you're doing, because you're operating out of fear rather than a place of faith.
Yeah. Also, a lot of great points. When you talked about the rituals that are on the TV that are getting so like blatant, it's because people choose not to see. So again, they're making it more and more like, right. It's not like a little like thing, right? It's like like literally everything you see lately, all these things, it's all like red and the horns and all. And so there's a law. It's called free will. So you are at this point, you're choosing. It's so obvious. A person is choosing not to see. And that's, I mean, that's their birthright to choose not to see. You know, again, we're just, I talk about the lighthouse, just got to be a lighthouse. This is my life, right? That's Marcus. This is Mike. And I'm just the lighthouse. And if you want like some of this life, then a person will be motivated. And if some people, you know, they get irritated by the light, but that's okay as well. When you mentioned that time of when Kobe passed away, I also felt it was very strange. Over the course of time, because I'm very in tune to all this now. There are times where things are very strange in the world. You almost can't even put it into words. On my channel, I track something called the Schumann resonance. It's the frequency of the planet. And sometimes there's like a blackout in the Schumann resonance, or there's a massive spike of energy. So you actually could be like sleeping in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden you wake up, you can't fall back asleep, or you're so irritated, or you're hurting, and you don't know why, because we're in this frequency. And sometimes there's little glitches, almost of like a timeline, right? So I think we're gonna, if you're familiar with the Mandela effect, I I think we're gonna start questioning the fabric of reality. But around that time, that was a time I felt very strange, and I've going forward, I see these glitches, you know, in the Mandela, excuse me, in the Schumann resonance, and you'll just feel like this eerie feeling. But and you almost can't even put it into words. But like when that happened, I felt like this is just not real. Like this is almost felt like this is not real. This is like something's wrong. And that's not the only time I felt it. Other times, but it's a good example. And I think that everyone has to really realize the importance of mental health. And when they shut down my gym, and now when I go in there, and there's people that disappeared and never came back. They will break your spirit. When this happened, I started going to the park, you know, pull-ups. I had to fix my old bike, old rickety bike, riding the bike over a bridge, old, like like from a kid. But and you're like, why don't you get a fancy bike? I'm like, no, I got to build the quads. I'm not lifting. So I had this old bike, and I was just trying to grind the gears just to try to work out my legs. And so, you know, like you have to like, I mean, that's the world that we're in right now. Like everyone's got to realize it's not unicorns and rainbows. And I share about that on my channel. Like the spiritual awakening, ascension, it's not unicorns and rainbows and make a potion and hooray and like and manifest like you have to back things up with radical action, like how you share too. Like I'll sit with it, I'll think about it, I'll write things down. But we have to get up off the couch, right? I have a phrase like we can't be like Tom on the couch eating nachos and cheese and just sitting on the couch, and then all of a sudden, everything just manifested. And when people hear about manifest, it's not just write it and wish it and put and sprinkle it, and then we have to start doing work, and that's the true spiritual journey.
Yeah, you crack me up because I always say, man, get off your ass and put down the honey buns and the corn chips. You got to get out. And I tell people all the time, I said, man, look, you can't sit at your computer and think you're going to master Facebook and everything's going to be okay. We got to have human interaction. I've seen where when you isolate somebody, what it can do to a person, literally you become inhuman. And one of the things like I always made sure I never lost sight of was my ability to be civilized and holding on to my humanity. Because in prison, I've seen where guys get so much time, literally they become animals, and it's very barbaric, and they strip you of any ability to try to have emotion or human compassion. And they study this shit, man. I used to watch people. I read a lot of books, and I used to just trip out because I would see these guys, man. I mean, miserable, man. I mean, ready to kill over turning the TV, man. And I used to just like watch and study this stuff. And then when I seen it on the street and how things started happening, and people, you know, went to drugs or alcohol, or somebody who was sober relapsed, or mental health. And mental health is like you touched on, is one of the most powerful things. And when they can control that, and then have a drug that you're dependent on to have any sense of self, you're done. I mean, you're so easily controlled at that point. And in prison, I would see it. They would have pill line. They got pill line in the morning. They got pill line at night. And dude, literally, it'd be a line of guys waiting to get these pills in the cup. And they would act like they take them. Some guys would act like they have them in their mouth and they swallow them. Then they go back, spit them out, sell them to another guy. I mean, it's crazy, man. The pills, the drugs, and you've seen it, man. What it's doing with just with the fentanyl right now, and the oxys and all these other pills. But it's a lot of this mental illness, and people, they never came back from it. A lot of people, like you said, I see people like you at the gym that used to be great people, very positive, and you see them after this whole thing, man. It's like, damn, what happened to you, man? I mean, you don't even look like the same person. So this wiped out not only a lot of people physically, where they're no longer with us on this earth, but mentally it wiped out a lot of people, man.
The mental aspect is so important, especially for men, because they'll say, "Oh, you're a man, just shut up about it." But listen, we're all, and I share about it a lot on the channel. Everyone is dealing with a different aspect of mental health, and we have to be empathic for people, because what they're doing with all these things is numbing the pain. When a person goes for a pill, or people go for alcohol, what they're doing is numbing the pain. They want this reality. So what they're doing is they're making this reality so sucky that you will, through your free will, you might want to go into the metaverse because it's better. Oh, we have everything here for you, right? Instead, it is, God made a beautiful planet, but people are ready to plug in, and you could have anything there. So I feel like anyone that is struggling, it's important to have community, and that's what we're doing. You got to stay focused on what everything really is, and everything they're telling you right to your face. Like, have you ever heard of when they speak of spirits? If you go to the store and buy Al Ghul spirits.
Yep.
So it's Al Ghul. You got to watch out for Al Ghul.
Yep.
They're literally, and some people might say, well, you're a spiritual wackadoo, but they're literally conjuring spirits. So,
Yep.
and again, it also has to deal with your vibrational frequency. So if you are like, kind of jovial, and you have like maybe a little something at a party, you might attract fun spirits. Mm-hmm. But when we're starting to spin down into a black hole, we're on a certain vibrational level, which would attract these other entities. So I just we try to stay away from these things, but it's really right in our face. And I also share about the scale of consciousness. So everyone that you're going about your life, I'll just give it's more in detail, right? But I just tell everyone what to watch out for. There's a scale of consciousness, right? And if you're really low, or the lowest, you could be the middle, which is acceptance. You could go up to love, and even above love is something called truth. Is the highest state of consciousness is the truth. I mean, now we could say, oh, well, it's so powerful. Oh, that's why it's so hard to find the truth nowadays. So what we need to watch out for, anyone that's listening to this, right? You have fake friends, family, or so on and so forth. How do you identify? How do you identify a narcissist? How do you identify these people? You got to go to the scale, right? And a lot of people, you could say, oh, they're causing me to have fear. Oh, fear is scary. Fear is not even close to the bottom. Fear is kind of obvious what your enemy is, right? But below fear is guilt, and the absolute lowest state of consciousness is shame. So when you see anything, whether it's a person, whether it's on TV or anything that's associated with shame, that is the absolute lowest that you could go on the consciousness scale. So anyone that you get shame from anyone, get them out of your everyday life.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, literally, shaming at this point in certain aspects of society, you could lose your life, man. People just they feel they have nothing else to live for. I mean, growing up, you might have a situation and deal with somebody, but the only people that knew were maybe the people that were there or a small group of friends. But now something happens and it gets a million views on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. And so you're feeling that shame from around the world, people that don't even know you. And a lot of people can't handle that. It's another form of really amplifying your emotions when you're tied into the matrix. And, that's why I say a lot of, I tell people sometimes just disconnect, man. Just, get away. Like you said, go connect with nature. I'm a big advocate on getting out and just appreciating the simple things sometimes. Like I like to go on drives. I like old cars. I go on drives, pull over, look at the ocean, listen to the waves, look at the dolphins. Sometimes I like going up and into like the mountains and just watching, the little bugs. I don't know if when you were a kid, remember you used to lay in the grass and you see all the little bugs down in the little world. You're like, that's a whole nother world down there. You're just tripping in the grass. You'll see ants and they're moving something. You're like looking at them, and then you see some other bug come and you see this, and you're like just tripping out. But like instead of watching TV or video games, I would go out and watch the bugs do their whole thing, So, and those things, it takes you back to a place where, you look at the simplicity, but you also look at like life and, no matter how bad you might think something is, look at this world down here. These guys are small. Somebody could step on them and kill their whole universe, but they're down here surviving and stuff. So, I do stuff like that sometimes. Just think about when I was a kid, I used to do a lot of catching bugs and all kind of dragonflies and stuff, being outside and playing in what do you call it, little stream water, little stuff like that. I mean, as adults, nothing's telling you that you can't go do those things to reconnect, to feel that connection with earth, and that vibe, So I just try to think about stuff like that, and it feels good, man. It's like going out camping, go camping. You don't need to, go sleep outside one night, man, and just, even if it's in your backyard, just to get that feeling.
Yeah, a lot of people are disconnected from that. And the imagination, you're curious. We're asking questions. It's become so robotic. I remember all those things. Where could we actually see the change? You could see it on TV. Remember when we were growing up? They had He-Man, Masters of the Universe. They had all these creating, right? A fantasy, right? It's so important. Nikola Tesla even spoke about it. That's how he was able to come up with his inventions. Now they watch Bob the Builder. I'm gonna grow up and be building blocks and stuff. Like that's the show. There's no creative. There's no there's something behind that. There's something behind the inner child, because we don't become adults. We fit into the matrix. Oh, why don't you grow up? Why don't you fall in line? Fall in line, Marcus. That's what they tell you. But who we were as a child, and when you could have the power, because people will try to shame you. Oh, you got to grow up. You have to do X, Y, and Z. But who you were as a child, that's who you truthfully are.
Remember when you were a kid? I mean, when I was a kid, the toys were, I used to get all these toys that were very artistic or engineer related. Kind of like you get this thing and say you'd put these different pieces together and you color in, you can make a monster. Or you get this over here and you would, I would get this little model and you would glue this, you'd make like a battleship or, different thing. I mean, you might be working on that model for weeks, trying to fit the little pieces and, but you had this little plastic thing, you'd put it and just look at it. I mean, all this stuff stimulates certain parts of your brain, and it gave you excitement, but it wasn't, it wasn't the same as like, I guess like Grand Theft Auto, beating up the police and hooking up with a hooker, all this crazy stuff. you know, you're doing different things. And it's like as a kid, man, it's like, you know, stuff like I still got a radio control car I mess with sometimes, but it's cool to go back to that because it doesn't have to be, like you said, all the violent and really desensitizing stuff that they're pushing. And a lot of that, you know, plays a factor, man, just that desensitivity and, you know, what you get a kid into. Because as a kid, what's limiting you? Your imagination. You could be a cowboy, you could be an astronaut, you could be like you said, I remember Thundar the Barbarian, you know, you run around your Thundar, you know, your speed racer. Yeah. I mean, you had all these different things now. And you know, the only limitations are, like you said, as you get old, man, hey man, you're too old for that. Yeah, how old are you? You still run around doing that, man? You know, it's like, who says?
Right. Yeah. That's plugging in to the matrix, losing ourselves. And that's why a lot of people are struggling there, because they're like, so I'm sure there's many people that are listening to this right now. And when you start to wake up to certain things and you're looking around and you're saying, I don't even want to live this life. I don't want this job. I don't want this situationship, relationship, whatever. Oh, I got in this relationship because X, Y, and Z. Oh, and people are not even being themselves. So everyone's got to start focusing on themselves and start creating what they want to experience. Otherwise, they're going to spend the day creating somebody else's life, and that's what they've done.
What would you tell a person, because you did it during all this craziness, you recreated yourself, but what would you tell somebody who's working a job and they're doing it because it's like, oh, I got, you know, benefits and pay, but they're miserable, always complaining, you know, they don't like being around the people they're around, they feel like there's other things they want to be doing, and rather than wait till it's too late, how would you break it down for a person like that to try to, you know, break away and really pursue that which their heart desires?
Well, I mean, I'm living proof of this. So you just go in alignment. So I was, you know, working. I had it all. I had the salary and the benefits and all that stuff, and I went with my passion, and I did it every week. I did it for free for over a year and a half. Didn't make a penny. So the advice I would give, you know, not to just, you know, walk away cold turkey, but whatever it is, you know, it doesn't have to be making videos on YouTube. Whatever it might be, start working on it. And when you have your everyone's got free time. And if you have people distracting you, then get them out of your life and start focusing on yourself. And when you find that, because I know it's hard, but I'm sharing from firsthand experience. Then are you going to be committed to yourself? Are you going to be committed to your passion? Are you going to be committed to your mission, soldier? That's what you have. That's where we have to get. Are you committed to that? And then, you know, you find it and you just slowly, and then the transition happens. And then an opportunity might come, but, you know, bad things could actually happen. But that's God saying it's time to rapture you out of the matrix. Some people know about the rapture. You're taken out to a new world. You're in a totally different location. And that's what happened to me. And I'm very serious because I know I'm sharing with a lot of new people. It's all your vibrational frequency, and it becomes a match, and you have to keep putting it out. A lot of people have changed since 2020. And now they're looking at their life and they're like, well, this job doesn't resonate with me anymore. Well, this situationship doesn't resonate with me anymore. And now they've changed their frequency. People, things, and situations, everything carries a frequency, and they fall out of your life, and people are disappearing. You might be experiencing this as well. You might see people disappear from your life, and you have hardly any friends anymore. Yeah. But that's okay. But that's what's really it's really happening. You know, I even share about the rapture on my channel, but a lot of these you know, things, they don't have to be taken literal. But I'm sure everyone, and please leave comments on this. Are you seeing the shift? We are literally going through a shift right now, and through vibrational synchronization, we are syncing up to where we we're supposed to be, we're becoming the highest version of ourselves, because there's different versions of ourselves. If I look back at the 25-year-old me, is different than where I am now. So we're becoming a different version. And if you really, you let go and you want to improve your life, that's what the channel is about. It's about self-empowerment. Become self-empowered. Don't worry about your friends. Don't worry about even doubters in your family. Don't worry about your coworkers. These are all distractions. They're designed to stop you. You have to have the inexhaustible belief in yourself. And, you know, that's how we're here today. I know you know, earlier in your life, you went through tough times, but, you know, we go through these things to become a professional with firsthand experience, so we could share to other people. Because if you're going to be an authentic teacher, you absolutely have to have firsthand experience. So anyone that's going through hard times, that's, you know, we're here to share with others.
Would you say one of your greatest assets has been consistency? Because I always tell people, like, you could be motivated, but if you're not consistent, it's not going to really produce the results. And so consistency over a period of time is going to really make the difference in anything you're doing. So I always tell somebody, try to be as consistent as possible. Like you said, every day you were posting something, you were consistent. And that consistency rewarded you at the end of the day, you know?
Show up every day. That's what I've done. It's the power of resiliency, consistency, and authenticity. Just be yourself. If a person meets me, I'm the same person on the screen. That I don't sugarcoat nothing. I don't pretend. There's a lot of pretenders out there. There's different people in this world, Marcus. There's theorists and there's practitioners, and there's people that like to talk about it, and then there's people that have to be about it. And that's where we have to, and that's what's going to last the test of time, because people are starting to wake up from the illusion. Everything's an illusion, Marcus. Instagram is that, and this is what gets me fired up, because I was a school teacher and I would see how children would get, oh, look at all the followers, or I have to do this, and filters, and what is it doing to the child's mind? It's an inachievable thing to have millions. Oh, well, this famous person has millions. It's all fake. It's an illusion. And in the mind of these children, they're seeing fake filters, and, you know, making a fake backside. The girl doesn't even look like this. And you know, but you know, when it comes to kids seeing that, that's the real danger, because then in their mind, it's unachievable. So what we need to do is we need everyone to step forward and just be themselves, and that's the way of the world, because it's fake. And you know what? Like, a lot of people don't. I'd rather not even bother with it. You know, it's like a lot of people are tired of it, and just be yourself. And a lot of people want to be themselves. And now is the time to just be who you want to be.
Now, what what do you think is the importance of having the right role model or mentor in your life? Because I know for myself, I found a mentor when I went to prison that changed my life. And when I was on the streets before, I didn't really have any mentors or role models. You know, I was running around Hollywood and doing stuff, man, and in the hood. And it was just like, I was just getting into shit. You know, I didn't have any direction, 22, 23, young, you know. But once I really had some deep conversations with somebody that I resonated with, and it made me think. And I was like, wow, you know, I never looked at life like this. But I had to go into a really dark place to find these people. So for people out here looking to try to find someone that they can tap into, or somebody that maybe can, you know, give them a sense of self. I know, you know, you shouldn't really look outside yourself, but sometimes finding that mentor. What would you suggest for a person, man? Because I always tell people, man, be careful who you know, rather than follow somebody that's bad, that's negative, don't follow anybody at all, unless you're going to follow somebody that's going to actually, you know, enhance your life for the better.
Absolutely. It's so important, because of how we're building the mind. It's everything. It becomes 95% of your reality. When I was a boy, my hero, my mentor was my father. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. And then, you know, over the course of my journey, you know, when I was at the fake and failing school building, I actually I had a coworker, and you know, he was a little further ahead on his spiritual journey, and you know, he was a great mentor to me, and really helped me on my journey. When you're choosing a mentor, the mentor gives you free will. You know, maybe sometimes the mentor might want to really help out once in a while, but ultimately we all have to figure things out for ourselves. And you know what? That's what I've become. I'll be anyone's mentor. That's why I show up every day, 9 a.m. Eastern time, set an alarm. And you know, we shared this as well. You know, it's actually becoming hard to find people, but because I've built a rapport with the people, they still will, they have to resonate with you. Otherwise, if you're just trying to get a viral video, if you're just trying to, it doesn't last the test of time. I still show up every day, and people still show up. You know, we could see what's going on. It's kind of getting a little hairy out there. But what I could say is be consistent, you know, and you know, be with people that allow you to be yourself. And when you go through this awakening, I get really set. Like I'm a nice guy, but like now it's gotten to the point where when you feel your freedom is being, like, you know, stifled, you know, they want to throw the shackles on you. It doesn't resonate with you. Set boundaries. Set boundaries. Okay, this is you cross the boundary, and then and don't be one of the most important things. Don't be afraid to be alone.
That's right. That's right. That's so important. It's better to be alone in your own thoughts than to be with others who don't have your best thoughts, you know. And a lot of times people just you know, they hang out in these groups, and you're looking like, man, are they really for real? Is everybody just pretending in that group like this, like, ha ha ha, so fake? And it's like I realized, like, when I moved, a lot of people I thought were like, you know, my friend, like, hey, how you doing? I didn't hear nothing. It was crickets. You know, literally these people like disappeared. And you know, so I'm like, wow, man, I thought I, you know, had all these people who really you know, cared about me, because I would have them over for parties and get-togethers and fights and stuff, but it wasn't that case because nobody called me anymore to see how I was doing, or I didn't get that invite. So you know, keeping your circle tight is so important, especially in today's day and age. Having the right people around you, giving you the right advice, and just you know, not let right now there's a very strong frequency that's being emitted, and it's tied into the fear situation, because everything's geared around just fear and panic, which, you know, love is so strong on one end. The antithesis of love, though, is fear and hate. But fear is an emotion, and people do a lot of things out of fear that they wouldn't normally do. So you got to be conscious of the fear that's being kind of broadcast in every element, whether it's racial, whether it's the fear of, oh my God, there's going to be a war, we're going to have this, we're going to not have water. I mean, people are freaking out. I remember they had everybody grabbing toilet paper like we're going to just be shitting ourselves. I remember there was no toilet. I remember going to the place. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, every year you had toilet paper for the next year. I mean, it was crazy, man. But look at the psyche with that. They experimented and it worked. So they can play games, get toilet paper. Go get apples. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you know.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. We're, you know, so you got to pay attention to this stuff and not buy into all of it, man. I mean, there's a lot going on right now. And, you know, if you're a young person, or even if you're an old person and you feel isolated and, you know, you need someone to talk to, you know, watch Michael's show or tune in to Big Hurt 916 with motivation or fresh out. And, you know, just get out there, man. Don't, you know, and if you feel like you don't have anybody to talk to, go out to nature. You know, go walk barefooted in some grass, or sit on a rock somewhere by yourself and just look at the stars at night, man. You'd be surprised what type of what type of things you'll be able to tap into in the subconscious and the conscious.
Yeah. Oh, this was really great tonight. It's really evident of prophetic times. So I share about the Hopi prophecy. I don't know if you know about the Hopi and the prophecy of the Rainbow Warriors. And it's literally happening right now. And if anyone doesn't know how it goes, it says, when the earth is ravaged and the animals are dying, a new tribe of people will come onto the earth from many colors, classes, and creeds, and whom by their actions and deeds will make the earth green again. They will be known as the warriors of the rainbow. And it's all playing out right now, brother.
Yeah, in reality. Michael, I thank you for coming on the channel, man. I appreciate your knowledge, man. And we'll have all the links in the description for people to tap into your show and subscribe and support, man. And just, we got to keep building these communities, man.
Yeah. And I'm going to share the video as well. Please subscribe to Fresh Out as well. And anyone seeing me, my channel is Our Everyday Lives. And most importantly, Marcus, when this is all over, we got to get a workout together in. All right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely get in and pump it up, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you have a great one out there, man. I appreciate you, brother.
All right. This was a lot of fun. Take care. We'll do it again soon.
For sure, man. All right.
Bye-bye.
You tired of smelling like stanky butt, funky armpits? Wash your ass. Go to freshoutseries.com and pick you up a bar of soap,